Yeah.
Best dance routine ever, right there. Hey, we should be a dance group.
We should.
Just joking. We should not be.
Mhm.
That was good. All right, everybody. Welcome to podcast number 63. Today, we got a very special guest. We got two of them, actually. One with a really good story that I'm really excited to talk about. Before we do that, let's talk about the podcast sponsor, CSP Embroidery, suppliers of apparel, headwear, and promotional products for your company and organization. Co-brand with companies like Nike, Oakley, Puma, OGIO, and Under Armour. Contact us at 204-880-6394 or email directly at rick, which is me, at cspcandoit.com. Today's guest, sitting directly to my left, was a former psychiatric researcher and a pharmaceutical rep for many years, and now is a director at addictions counselor at Executive Medical Solutions, one of our sponsors. Thank you very much. This mother of four, two humans, two cats, recently came out of indoor soccer retirement, and her favorite place in the world is anywhere in the Canadian Shield, which you're going to be going to pretty soon, right?
Yes.
You got it. That's right. Her favorite food is movie popcorn, followed closely by any kind of candy. Everybody, let's welcome Jeneth Guertin. And right beside her, that was the applause in case you're going to get one too. Her guest is currently a student at Booth University College. She wears many hats at her job, like a residential care worker, case manager, and a group facilitator at the Tamarack Recovery Center. She loves horses, turtles, and hedgehogs. And interesting, one day would like to have all three so they can be best friends. You know what? You got to start a YouTube channel if that ever happens, because that's always option. Yeah. She self-taught herself how to crochet by watching different YouTube videos and is currently working on a recovery blanket. And one of her passions is to collect vinyl LP records. Everybody, let's welcome Emma Peck. All right, ladies, first time I've ever had two guests, right?
Nope. We've had
Oh.
the guy from the jails. His girlfriend was
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. So we're going to talk about your journey. I think we should probably just kind of throw a little context into everything. So you've been battling through alcoholism, cocaine addiction,
Correct.
and now a food addiction.
Correct.
And you've also dabbled in ecstasy and
Correct.
marijuana, right?
Correct.
So you've pretty much done it all,
I've done it all.
just like all of us that have ever had to deal with it. So that's good. All right, so can we start off with your story? Let's just say when did you start, and what was the first thing that you started with?
I started with ecstasy when I was 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was also trying alcohol and marijuana.
Okay.
Before then, though, I was always liked to eat. I've always loved food. So that was always a thing, but I think I've just normalized it and thinking it's everywhere, everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Let me ask you this:
Mhm.
Did you find that cocaine helped you not eat?
yes,
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's kind of a bad incentive, isn't it? Because
It is.
it's actually you go on that cocaine diet, and it's better than
is.
working out sometimes.
And I think that's many years ago, I felt the best.
Yeah.
Like I was bike riding and I was doing cocaine and I felt great.
Yeah.
But now I know that's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I started with ecstasy and I was religious with it. I would do it every day.
So you functioned at school while you were high on ecstasy, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, people would follow me around in the corridors thinking that I had it. And I was like, I just do it. I just do it. Like, I don't. But
So a lot of people did it in high school?
yeah, I would say so.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was actually, well, there's always just that small group, and I think,
Okay.
and that's something that I never learned too, that people can like really pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, they're just really happy. Like, I'm so naive. But with alcohol too, I would do it like every day of the week. I had somewhere to go. I had the pub, and every night was a different night.
Mhm.
So
So you were just young and wild, and you just
Mhm.
wanted to party all the time.
I
And
did.
Okay, so no big deal,
I
yeah.
did. And even my mothers have said, like, either my mom has said I've always been that wild child. I've always lived extreme. I've liked adventure. I like different, and I think that was a way for me to express myself. And I've always been different with my friends, and so I looked elsewhere, and I found people on the other side of the South Side, and Maples, North End, and I just felt accepted. So I got a lot of my drugs from those people.
Mm-hmm.
And that ran until I was 16, 17.
So a couple questions for you. Do
Mhm.
you think that the ecstasy, the drinking, and the weed is it true that they're a gateway?
What do you think is the gateway drug that people like to talk about?
That's a good question.
I think trauma is the gateway drug.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm going in a whole different way, but I don't
Mm.
think I think if you're prone to start using drugs and regularly, it's because you're trying to
Mask-
numb something
mask
out
something.
Yeah.
and go around something rather than through it. So I say trauma is the gateway drug. I'm not sure it matters what you start with.
So
What do you think?
Do you think
I
you could
agree.
do it recreationally?
Now?
Just not you, but
Oh.
I'm just saying
Generally
in general.
speaking.
Yeah. Can somebody just do a little bit of cocaine?
I
Can
think
somebody
so. Well,
do a little bit of ecstasy? You know.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I think there's that chance of, and that's what happened with me is like you want something, okay, that high doesn't get you anywhere now, and then you're going to try something else and else and else, and then you're going to get hooked.
And did you notice that when you were cocaine specifically, just because I have experience with it, did you notice that when you did it, it was great? You're dancing, you're active, you're killing it, you're doing all kinds of stuff, and then eventually it takes you to a place where you're like hiding in a closet and you don't want to see the sun anymore and you don't want to be social anymore. Did you experience that?
Very, very much so.
Me too. It's funny how that transition goes. So to go recreationally, great, but as soon as it gets to a certain point, that hook,
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah.
It's the worst,
I was
Yeah.
living in my parents' basement. My dad called me a gremlin because I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't socialize with anyone. I was alone.
Yeah.
So when you're in the basement, were you just doing drugs the entire
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
And it was just cocaine.
Well, it was anything I could put on my nose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got pretty
It's
bad.
crazy how it takes you like that, hey? It basically kills your whole life. Just keeps you hidden in a basement.
And how did you pay for that?
I'm the government.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on work. Like I would work a little bit, and I lie, I steal.
Okay.
I do other things. I like sexual favors and all that. So that was one of my lows. Like I became. My mom said she lost Emma. Like I wasn't the person I was meant to be. Like
Yeah.
I'd lost all of my self-respect and everything.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate you saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to say.
Yeah.
for
I was
sure.
holding back, but I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? It's true though, right? So,
Yeah. And I can tell you this from my experience that when it comes to cocaine, women will sell themselves for it. You know, they will. And they almost that sounds awful, Drew. Yeah.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, go ahead. Like, because I know when I was doing it, I was also selling it, and if they could not pay for it, it was no problem. They absolutely would, do whatever they could to get to take it, right? So or to have it. So I see that as well as a. I don't even know if it's necessarily a problem, but did you ever date your dealer?
no,
Oh no.
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
Okay, so let's keep moving.
Yeah.
So you're in your teens.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the meth, the booze. You got yourself into a little cocaine.
I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then off camera, you're telling me after that you kind of got your shit together. You started traveling a little bit, maybe to Africa.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
So the one reason I got off ecstasy was I got into a deep, deep depression, and I didn't see a way out. I thought the only way out was to end my life, and I tried to commit suicide. Woke up the next morning. Oh shit, didn't work. So I reached out for help, and I was able to get some help.
So can you explain that? You reached out to who and what kind of help?
My mom. I remember waking up that day, and she was getting ready to go to work, and I had school, and I said I can't do this today, and her first reaction, you're pregnant, and I said no, and so I was like opposite, like this is like thinking maybe that was the best thing I should have said, but
Yeah.
no. So then we went to like shrinks and medication, and that's when I finally realized like I had a depression, and how wonderful my mom is. I was able to do school at home for a bit.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was my help, and I was able to find healthier dopamine, and I was playing soccer and indulged in school, and I've always wanted to travel. So after high school, I found this girl, and we went to Africa together, and I found my purpose again.
Yeah. So let's backtrack for a sec. So would you say that physical fitness was one of the things that got you, and you were clean at this point?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you got your help. You're playing soccer. You're doing a little bit of traveling. So then you're in Africa. Go ahead and tell us what you were doing out there.
I was drinking lots in Africa, and I was also dabbling in marijuana because, again, I think I've normalized it, that people do it. But I was volunteering at a girls' orphanage and at a preschool.
So that was your intention of going to Africa, was to volunteer? Okay.
And I was.
Okay.
But on like the weekends, I'd go out and drink and.
Yep.
Right. But I felt happy. I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, going for long walks. I love hiking, biking. I just felt, um, again, like a purpose. So when I came home, I started going back into school.
How long were you in Africa for?
The first time I was there for 4 months, and then I went back the following year for 6 months.
Okay.
And so when I came home the second time, I went to UW thinking I wanted to do psychology, sociology, and I was really into that. And I moved out to my parents' house. I was 21 now, and now I'm dabbling again into the cocaine.
Mm-hmm. So what sucks you back in? You've done all this work. You've done your recovery. You got clean. You traveled. You're mountain biking. You found your purpose. What sucked you back into the drug life again?
I think it's that I've worked really hard, and it's just that treat that I'm allowed to treat myself. I deserve this. It's only going to be a night.
Okay.
And I think in that early on, I was able to do it once every couple months,
right.
And I was able to shut it off. Yeah. But I was always drinking heavily. Like I would say I'm a binge drinker.
Okay.
And I was smoking a lot of weed. Like it would be a daily thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened probably till I was 24, 23, and I met my first serious boyfriend, and he's an alcoholic. I don't know if he is anymore, but
did you guys meet through heavy drinking? Was that sort of the beginning of your relationship?
No, I met him through a boyfriend I was dating at the time, and he had come over, and we were smoking weed, and I don't even know how there was that connection, and
yeah. Okay.
So, but he would I just thought it was normal too. Like I think it's what society has made us, like, drinking is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
can I just make a comment on that?
Of course.
Society making drinking okay. This is actually one of the things that I like to make posts that get a lot of traction and a lot of controversy.
Here we go.
One of the things that I posted a while ago when Corona first started was because they wanted to keep LCs open, right? Mm-hmm. And when I did that, the internet blew up. Mm-hmm. Like, who do you think you are? And I just thought to myself, if you kind of look at almost everybody's problem when it comes to, say, drug addiction or whatever, it usually stems from alcohol for the most part. I feel like that's probably the 90%, right? And yet, for some reason, why do you think we as society celebrate alcohol for everything? For a Friday, for a Saturday, for birthday, anniversary, for your whatever. Let's go for drinks. Yeah. Have you ever gone on a date and not just went for drinks? Like, I mean, who does that? How has it been so ingrained? I feel like alcohol literally is the worst thing you can put in your body, but we force it in there. Even our parents are like, have a shot when you're 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish, nobody agrees with me on this for the most part. A very small percentage of people do, but I wish people would really reconsider alcohol.
You watch,
I agree with
you see people, they're celebrating, right? So one of the things out of COVID is when they opened up lounges outdoors, and you see everybody, what's the first thing they're doing? They're all drinking, and they're sitting around kind of like weird COVID. Then all of a sudden, rah, 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 and then they just keep doing it. I have friends that were from my party world, and it's like they were pretty chill for a while, and then things opened up, and they just went bananas again. And so the only time they're smiling on their social media feeds is when they're drinking. And so it's like, well, is that the solution? Because you have a problem and now you're just masking it again. Mm-hmm. And you're right. We totally say, oh, it's okay. Just have a glass of wine, have one drink. Who's drinking with me?
Yeah.
And, I'm not around that anymore, but I remember being around it, and I was probably the worst influence. I'm like, oh, what do you mean you're not drinking? You're in my house.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
But we all were, right?
Yeah. And but then looking back at it, if somebody didn't want to drink, just don't drink. It's probably the best thing for you, right? Mm-hmm. And what we've done and what I've personally done, and this is why when you look at here, like this is like a nightclub, right? So we named it the club because we would get lineups, right? Now we're back to lineups again. And we're always talking, oh yeah, we're gonna backdoor VIP gold you, right? We're gonna give you that silver card, and
Yeah.
so my mission with Fit Club was to like I partied lots. Like when I was 28 to 31, I was like hardcore. My house was the spot, right? And I said, how can I bring that same feeling and emotion? Because that's what happens is that it creates happiness for us, right? I never drank and partied because I was sad. I didn't have a bad upbringing. I love it because I'm like, if this is good, more is better,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
how my eyes light up,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, so what I wanted to do is like, man, why are you in the bars? You get VIP access wherever you go. You don't pay for drinks. You get all the women. You have all the fun. Why can't you bring that to 9 to 5?
Mm.
And I said, I can do that. It
Mhm.
took me a year to get out of the every single person messaging me, where's the party at? It took me a year for that, right? And then now it's, I don't hear from them, but I mean, look at how busy we are now. So it's like, this is what I wanted to do, and I can do this for the rest of my life. I can't do that and feel good
Not for
for
the rest of
my
your
life.
life.
Yeah.
Right.
It's unsustainable. It's too hard on the body.
It is.
You know what I mean? Drinking or any kind of
And
drugs.
life, you really don't really fix anything. You don't really grow when you're in a constant state of dizziness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When you're drugged up,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, you're never working at a high
No.
level. You're working at just enough to survive level.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you're not moving forward. You're just moving along, right? Okay, so let's get back to your story.
So, well, I like what you just said about just living at that high level.
Yeah.
It felt now I'm getting into my 25 now, and this is when I really dabbled in, and I was stuck. I was now just living. I was just existing in life.
Yeah.
I had nothing else to do. I was just kind of this pawn, like, right? And so it was traumatic. For me, it was traumatic experience after another,
Okay.
and it was bad men, bad men, bad men. I got pregnant a few times, decided I would abort because I wanted to finish my education. I wanted to travel. And also, I didn't want to bring a child in when I was so sick. Because I've worked in the system a lot, even if it's just support work, and I've seen just children slipping through the cracks,
Yeah.
and I just didn't want that. And one day, I was working for this lady for respite, and she just one day she's like, "Oh, hey, you do cocaine?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." And
It's funny. It's funny how you kind of just know people do after
Yeah.
you do it the first time.
Yeah.
Like I remember I had just like him. So I used to have a nightclub, and everybody partied at my house after 7 days a week. It was insane. And but at first I never did drugs. Never did coke till I was 30 years old, right? And then after that, having a party at my place, and everybody's kind of like this. And I had tried it once before that, and I could almost sense like everybody wants to do blow here, but nobody wants to say anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember, you probably have this situation. And I remember saying, you got anything? And they're like, no, but if you get some, I'll totally get some. And everybody was then all excited about it. And do you think we could get any? Couldn't get any. So, of course, the next week I'm like, well, I can get this. Like, is this a business opportunity that just landed on my lap? And that's how it started, right? So next weekend came over. It was all there for them. And before you know it, my place is the place to be, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of always the transition. I mean, I never sought out to be a drug dealer, but that's just kind of how it is,
very much so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so so it ended up being like one night turned into 5 days, turned into 7 days, and no sleep. And somehow I was still managing to work and maybe do a little bit of school, not going to class, but doing it behind and still handing in papers and such. But it was masking. I was sad, I was depressed, and it gave me that oomph that I needed to get through.
The oomph meaning this is the motivation to get out of
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it made me. But then it got to the point where I couldn't do it. I had to wake up and do it right away. Like it was my food.
Yeah.
And
Were you able to eat? Would you go on a 5-day bender and eat it all, or would you just starve through it?
I couldn't eat when I was on it.
Yeah.
I love biking.
Okay.
I rode bike, and for some reason I was able to bike. Like I would do 60K, and but like I would do it before I got it. How unsafe is that? It's so unsafe. And I'm riding on the highways like this ain't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like oh. So, but I felt like, but I felt good, and that's why, because I felt fit, I felt skinny, and now I look back, I'm like, oh, that's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to do was get high and ride my bike.
Yeah.
Because I felt free, I guess, but I was leaving all my sadness, my trauma behind. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where I was stealing. I was then again selling myself. And I had disconnected from my family, my friends, everyone.
Yeah.
And then.
So this is that lady that you were working or hanging out with, the respite lady. And then did you leave her? Like, did you leave the friendship?
I did.
Okay.
Maybe 3 years into it.
You guys partied together for 3 years like that? Okay.
And because I was heavily into, I would say 5 years, and it. It was one day we wanted to go fishing. I have no idea where she took me to this day. I have no idea where we were. It was past Voyager, and middle of the night, we were gonna go camping, and she found this like cabin. You'd pay $5 to camp there. It was a wild night. Back of the SUV, full of booze, meatballs everywhere, and I know I needed to get out. And I was always told that we were in a relationship, her and I. It may not have been intimate, but we were. And she always, I think, there was a jealousy part of it, that because I was talking to men, and she got mad at me one day and she left me there, and I had 1% on my cell phone.
She left you out in the woods?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I peed myself. Like I was so scared, and I remember dropping a pin and being like to whoever, I'm like, pick me up. And she thankfully came back. And I was like, hey, I couldn't drive, but I was like, I need to get myself out.
Yeah.
And so I got in the front seat and we started driving, and then that's when shit hit the fan. She was pouring wine on me. She took my glasses off, threw them out of the car. And that's when I realized, like, yeah, this person needs to go. But it was just the person. It wasn't the drugs and the alcohol. That's not what was making it. It was just this person's mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just went on. No, I went on my own. I can do this on my own. And I think that's when the isolation started, that I didn't need anyone. And I started doing it in my apartment. It just got worse and worse and worse.
So when did we start changing, or when did you start changing? When you said you've been clean for? Yeah.
So I'll be 18 months clean August 20th.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It makes me get teary-eyed because
it should. That's a big deal. 18 months is a long time.
It is.
Yeah.
So it was February 20th, and I think that was another low. I don't remember it. My mother says though. So I must have had a wild night in my basement, driving around, and I remember her coming in, and she was livid. Because now I also too was just stealing money out of her purse and wherever I could find it. And it was minus 40 out, and I remember her ripping the blankets off, and I lived in my car. I just said, get out. And she too thinking that me coming back home was going to help everything, which it didn't. I just isolated more, right? And then that disrespect that I was using now in their house. But then, remember, she fought a lot, and she was able to get me into Main Street Detox. And so I went there February 19th or 20th. I can't exactly know, but so I was there for 14 days. And in the beginning, truthfully, I thought I was just on holiday. Like I was like, I can do 14 days and go right back at it. And we say in AA, you find like your higher power or spiritual awakening, and I honestly did. Like it was no longer I'm doing this for anyone else. It was one day I woke up and I said, this is for me.
Yeah.
And it just changed. It changed. And
that was it?
That was it.
Okay.
But then it was constant treatment. I went from detox to AFM for 28 days, and then I went to Tamarack for 2 months, and I kept connected. I went through the mentorship program. I went to sober living after, and then they reached out, and now I work there. Like I had to stay in that community.
Yeah. It's just like fitness. Once you're part of the community, then you start living the life, and you're surrounded by the right people, and then all of a sudden the things that you're used to doing don't make sense anymore. Yeah. Now it's this. Now it's not drinking. Now it's going for walks all the time. Now it's drinking water. You know what I mean? That community is very important. So it's good that you stuck it out. Yeah.
So can we scale back a little bit? Let's go back to when you were. Why am I tinging, Jerome? Here we go. When you went back to being in your teens and you're in your basement, Now, you must have had very patient parents,
Mm.
because to deal with a kid that doesn't want to go out, that doesn't want to show their face, that doesn't want to come up and eat, and people aren't stupid. You know what I mean? Like, they have an idea of what's going on down there. Maybe they don't know it to the full extent. So what do you think? What was a couple things that your parents could have done to maybe help you to get out of that situation?
Um, she should have let me go.
Like, just kick you out?
Yeah, from
Mm.
day one. And I've been at different programs before, and it's so hard. And I'm not a parent, but I can, because that's all you want to do is help your child, right? But that would have been the best thing for me.
That's
I'm-
not bad advice.
I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because I'm a
A
firm
hard
believer
line.
in that as well. You know, like when you do an intervention or you watch them on TV and basically say you either do this now or you're cut off completely, it has to be that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't mother your way out of this.
No.
You really can't.
You can help, and then when you try to help and you give everything that you can, it then becomes enabling.
Oh, very
And
much
once you
so.
get to that point of enabling with people,
much so.
you've already lost the battle, and now it's becoming a you problem to a we problem to a me problem, and that's kind of how it transfers, right?
Yeah.
And being an addict, like I'm queen of manipulation. So you're gonna enable me? Well, I'm just gonna keep going, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, it brings tears to my eyes, but it's like, yeah, that would have been.
I love your honesty. I'm glad you're on this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like
appreciate
hearing
that.
this.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
It's
That's
good
good.
to hear. I think everybody should hear that,
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
too.
there's probably a lot of things that we're tolerating, and really gets to the point. It's like, I'm trying to help you here, man, but you're not getting any better.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Like, and you just, as a parent, as a friend, as a family member, you just got to deal with what it is that it is.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens after that, you just hope that, hey, well, maybe when you find yourself, we'll find each other.
And that's when the thing
That's a good
that's
point.
important to know too. Like when you're letting that person go who's suffering from addiction, they're not truly alone. There's so many resources out there, and there's resources out for that parent
Yeah.
or for that spouse who's right. Like there's so many people out there to help too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough call as a parent, though. I mean, you certainly see both sides. You know, you don't want to just let your kid go.
No.
You're trying to fight for their life. But yeah, you're right. Once, like I always say, once that hook is in you, that's you're unparentable. I think at that point, you really got to do it on your own. You got to suffer a little bit and hurt a little bit, right?
So
Yeah.
how can we educate? How can we educate everybody in the world to be able to deal with situations like this? Because it's always good to be prepared, right? It's like we train, like, so athletes, we do preparation, meaning that why do you train in the off season? Well, when you go in the in season, everything is unpredictable. And so as you get faced with new scenarios, whether it be COVID, whether it be a new baby, whether it be a new job, whether it be somebody changes for some reason, there's going to be these areas that we deal with. And so how can we train somebody to be able to really like learn patience to deal with these things, but also like the right direction? Because a lot of us in the things that we do, we were just guessing.
You talking about the addicts or the people who are looking out for the addicts?
Yeah, the people that are looking out for the addicts.
Right.
Like the addicts, they're in their mix,
Right.
right? Like the hook is in them, right?
Right.
And so there's not, you know what the pattern is of what they do. They're pretty predictable, right? Now, what about the people around them? Like, how
Yeah.
can we educate them to deal with addicts? Like, kick them out is one thing, but what else?
Well, I think the one thing that you have to remember is that accept the fact that you can't do it alone. Just like an addict can't get well alone, a parent or a loved one of an addict can't get well alone either. You don't have the answers. We all need support and help. And I mean, instantly Al-Anon just comes to mind for me. I think Al-Anon's a really good place for parents or loved ones to go. And their kind of motto is love from a distance. You're not going to stop loving your person, your little people. That's not what it's all about. But the way I'm loving you is actually hurting you. And so being able to let go, and that's where there's that enabling factor. But I think you just said it. There's lots of resources out there to learn how to help an addict. And it actually comes down to, in Al-Anon, it's actually about helping yourself. So the loved one gets their own help so that they can learn how to function with the addict. And fundamentally, that will help the addict ultimately. Yeah. But there's lots of research. But yeah, I mean, and it's also very hard. It was very difficult for your mom at that point to think I was going to kick my 16-year-old daughter out on the streets, right? Where it probably was what would have maybe saved you a few years of extra cocaine use. Who knows, right? But it's a hard decision to make. Goodness, yeah.
Looking back on your life, everybody says I don't regret anything because it turned me into the person I am today. All right, we're not going to use that as a reason. What are some of the things that you might have done different? Just looking back now, thinking the things that you've dealt with, and those don't necessarily need to be I wouldn't do drugs. You can still say that, but what are some of the things that might have been different in your life?
Asking for help when I needed it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I'm still very stubborn. I'm thinking I can do it on my own, and I have to catch myself because even now it's hard to say. I have moments still that I cross my mind, like I get upset when I want a glass of wine or something,
Mm-hmm.
but I know now I have to ask for help. I just reach out, and I wish I could have
Yeah.
asked for help.
Yeah. So what about say schooling? What about more sports? Like you said, you were into soccer. You really loved it. Like, would you encourage more athletic activities? Would you play more sports?
Yeah, I would definitely finding any kind of form of community. If it was with sports, I used to horseback ride, and I found a community where I help children with horseback riding.
Mm.
So I'll go in. So it's just like it's passion though. So wherever you feel,
Mm-hmm.
that you can grow and flourish. So
Yeah. I really feel like we keep coming back to community and the importance of it. That's sort of what I'm picking out of this podcast right now. Is finding a positive community.
So
Okay.
let me ask you this: what is your new reward? You know, like
Good question.
the reward for me back in the day was, yeah, it's Friday, I'm drinking, right? Like I'll see you Monday, right? So what is it now that is your reward?
it's funny you say that. 'Cause one story, when I was in school before COVID hit, and we finished our midterm, and everyone was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go and party now." And they're like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go home, have a cup of tea and crochet." And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I don't drink."
Oh yeah,
You know what?
baby.
But it's funny because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think this is awesome, and I think
I
that
love
what
it.
you've done here is very intricate,
This
right?
gives me peace and
Yeah.
meditation,
Yeah.
and I love music, and it's just, I found a different aha that I needed,
Yeah.
or
I think what happens is that we're always looking for that big wow, right? What's my next big dopamine burst? And so we don't even enjoy the small things anymore, right? I think after COVID, it's a completely different story. But I think prior to that, we're always trying to one up one thing. Like, what else can I do now? And that's when it turns to drugs because nothing gets you higher than a nice, something rip up your nose or, gets to the
Alcohol.
point where it goes into your veins,
Yeah.
right? Like you've seen that track. That's how it's because this doesn't do it anymore. And so for me personally, I've had to make that adjustment because I've always been a guy, what next? What next? And I never, ever enjoyed any of my success up until recently. People point to my success. I'm like, yeah, on to the next thing, right? And so now I wake up, and what gets me out of the bed is I literally write down 5 things, and a lot of times the 5 things are repeated. One of them is my tea. Like I love to wake up and have tea. I love coaching at 9. Today I wrote I'm coaching all day. Like you know what I mean? And I just those aren't like, oh, we're going to Vegas. I got today we're gonna go and party with my buddies, and you know what I mean. Those aren't my highs anymore. Like it's the small things, and it's consistent, predictable, and then I just tweak it a little bit and have fun with it and enjoy it.
We can truly train our brains to get the same pleasure from other
Totally.
things.
Yeah.
We really can, and sometimes it can take work. I mean, I remember in my early sobriety going, is anything ever going to feel fun? Like it was just awful, And now, like, I can tell you one of my favorite things is to get a nice coffee and watch my kids play basketball. My son plays for Bison Juniors. He's an excellent basketball player. I actually find my heart rate increases.
Yeah.
Like I actually I get high from it.
Yeah.
And so who would have, I mean, 4 years ago, you never would have told me that would have been my high. And now it is.
Yeah. Don't turn into one of those crazy moms, though, okay?
I already am. It's too
Throwing
late.
chairs
Already.
onto the basketball court.
It's
That was not a foul.
Yeah. It's also that cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say it's also that cool factor, right? When you're hanging out with a bunch of, let's say, school kids, everybody's young. What do you want to do? Of course, you're gonna go drinking, and partying.
Yeah, it's not cool to do schoolwork.
Yeah, if you're like, I'm gonna go crochet, they'd be like, what'd you just say? Weirdo. You know what I mean? But yes, you find these things just like me. My favorite thing, you're a biker. I'm a cyclist as well. I love to I like to get like fancy cheese and olives and fancy bread and make these little weird lunches, put in a backpack and ride my bike. And I have these little chairs.
You plan those?
Well, she plans those. But I like to eat that kind of stuff. I have these little chairs that kind of fold into like little like sausages. They're super small, but when you take them all out,
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
I don't know. I just like to find a
What
spot
do
in
you
the
mean?
world and sit
then
there and eat
they
fancy cheese.
and you just lay down in it? One
No,
of those air ones?
It's like a camping chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I know what you're talking
but it
about.
folds
Yeah.
in, like you take all the pieces
Yeah.
out, and then
Yeah.
it folds into this little thing. So I throw it in the backpack. All this little fancy lunch.
Yeah.
That's my cocaine now.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
That's my
wonderful.
party night.
I
So
think that
Totally.
sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I really
awesome.
do.
See, but
I love
here's
it.
the thing: is that people need to vocalize these things,
exactly.
right? I know we don't want to like brag about the knitting that we did because we feel like we're not going to get enough likes. But you got to remember, you don't need 100 people to like your thing just because it was some kind of wicked selfie you did.
Mhm.
None of those people care. In fact, they scrolled right past it. But the people that care for the crochet, this that you make or the small little lunches that you have, like those are the people that are your tribe, and you can connect with them moving forward. And you're like, okay, I got my little band of weirdos,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And so it's like, oh, I can
Yeah.
be weird. This is what I like. I don't want to do the other stuff anymore.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just want to be weird with the people that want to be weird with me,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
weird becomes normal.
And,
Yeah.
and a lot of
Right.
people, they look for that. They would like to do it, but they
Totally.
don't know any better, so they just go
Totally.
drinking instead. But
Yeah.
and I'll give you an example. My other business, I'll do like people come over for a chit chat instead of sitting in my office in the chairs for 30 minutes. They'll say, just come with me. We're gonna go for a walk. And when I had a dog, I was always it's funny. Some of my customers are like, Rick, I can't believe you're getting me walk around the block right now. And then that's how we would chit chat about the
Yeah.
business, and then we would get there and finish it up. But
Yeah.
they were cool with it. They're like, hey, man, thanks for this walk. I really loved it. So I feel like a lot of people would like to do things other than drinking and partying. They just don't know who to go to, and they don't want to look uncool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're, of course, conditioned to be
Yeah.
boozers and partiers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It makes me think too, just about that they say the opposite of addiction is connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really what we're talking about, whether you connect over crocheting or connect over bike riding. It is about connecting with others and feeling like we fit in and that we're part of. It's a big piece of of what makes human beings feel good about themselves. Just is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like at Fit Club, where our connection is how sore we are.
Yeah.
Oh, every day.
Especially now, man. We're just getting back into it. We just opened up kind of the rest of the gym, so we're using equipment again and cables. And my butt is sore, bro. My shins are
Backs,
sore. My
yeah.
back is sore. Like we've been working with no equipment for the last 3 months
Yeah.
just because we couldn't touch it.
And we got
But
used to it.
got used to it.
Yeah.
You know, body weight is great, but man, you put a weight in your hands, it changes everything. So
I just did a workout with Big Mama, and I seriously, my pecs, I can barely even move
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see,
It's
this
good,
is the
though.
new. This
Yeah.
is the new Friday nights. This is the new.
That's
okay, well, let's
awesome.
work out 3 days in a
That's
row
awesome.
versus let's party for 3 days in a row.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
It's all good.
Wait, so besides watching those kids play basketball, what do you like to do? Give us some healthy things that a recovering alcoholic would do. What kind of advice would you give to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I think volunteering is big. It actually, as we were speaking to, I think certainly specifically in the field of recovery, giving back, being a sponsor, there's all sorts of people that do need to reach out for help. And so I try and be there for people. I have lots of different conversations going on with people, trying to help them get through urges and whatnot. That is a big piece for me that keeps me sober and makes me feel like I'm contributing. I have a purpose. I'm helping others. So helping others, I would say, is a big factor. COVID's been interesting for me, actually. It's allowed me to.
Oh, yeah?
I love exercising now. Wasn't always my favorite thing. Being able to. I've spent lots of time with my kids, with a teenager who otherwise would not have been spending all this time with me. So that's been a lovely piece of my life recently. I'm renting cottages, but again, for me, sitting on a dock with a cup of tea and reading a good book is it's just for me, that's heaven. Yeah. So and it takes time. I think for people that are suffering from addiction, I understand that feeling of you cannot fathom a life without substances. It's just hard to imagine, but it just gets easier and easier. And the little things like we're talking about do become better. But I think volunteering is a big one. What other things I think staying in the field has been something that's helped both Emma and I is, becoming counselors, being able to just give back in that way is huge. Kind of like, what you guys help people all the time, right? In their fitness goals. I think it's the same thing. Makes you feel good about yourself and makes you.
Hold you accountable too, because you can't go back now. You're going to be preaching to people to stay clean. You better not be drunk. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're.
yeah. If I'm going to be telling people to stay fit, I ain't getting fat again. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to stay accountable.
I think in the reps too. So like working with people all the time and everybody's got their own unique scenario, right? You come in the gym here, when I'm coaching a virtual, it's easy because it's just me pushing me, right? And then when you bring it back onto the blue, and then we've got, you've been working out with us for a month now or whatever it might be. You've never worked out with us, but put you into the same room and I got to coach you differently. And so I learned to deal with reps differently based around where you are in your journey, based around where you are in your journey. And the same thing goes for you. The more clients that you see, the better you get at it, right? You become yourself a master. And then people ask me questions all the time, and I'm like researching today. I research visceral fat, right? And I have this whole thing ready to go, and I'm like, boom, I'm ready. Like, let's put me on the front stage, and then you present it. I mean, that's the next level for you, right? Is starting here on this podcast. And then how do you get the word out? Like, she did some videos for us, and we're going to be releasing them soon. So like, how do you get out in front of more people so that you become a brand and people become aware, and then people know where to get help? Because people don't really know where to work out in the city. They just assume, hey, I'm going to go get myself a big box membership. But then, they get in there and they're like, this is not me. There's no community, there's no tribe, there's no guidance, right? And that's why we're so public, right? We say Fit Club famous. And so the reason why we're so public, whether it's controversy, but I'll tell you this, there's probably about 200 people in Winnipeg that now know Fit Club because of Rick. Half of them are probably very upset with us.
Yeah.
But still,
No, not that many.
The people that know us, and then they'll read into it a little bit more. They'll understand who this human being is, and they'll be like, I want to connect with that. You know what I mean? And so, they say bad publicity is good publicity, any publicity, but to a certain extent. But we want to, we have such a strong message here with what we do, and I would encourage you to do the same. You talk about marketing. Well, you got to get it out there, because otherwise people don't go to Yellow Pages. I'm telling you.
No.
You know what
That still exists. Have you seen a Yellow
I got a
Pages?
book the other day.
Did
It
you?
went right to the recycling bin.
It's really thin.
Yeah.
No.
It went right to the recycling bin.
Do you remember those older ones that were just like
yeah.
massive? And everybody was like AA roofing, triple A roofing, AA roofing, 5A roofing. Like everybody was an A roofer. You know what I mean? So stupid back
Get
then.
to the front.
We're going to finish with the podcast, but I want to talk to you about your food addiction. And then we're going to talk about this blanket and the meaning behind it. So it was important that we talked about it. What is food addiction?
Food addiction.
What does it mean to you, I should say? I mean, I understand what it is, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it's again that mental obsession. I don't think I really realized I had a food addiction until maybe a couple months ago. Because again, I think society just made it normal. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so when I was upset, especially getting sober, okay, I'm upset, I'm going to eat. I'm happy, I'm going to eat. I'm going to go out and celebrate, going to go out for dinner. So I've always struggled when I was doing my steps too for my drugs and alcohol. I've never had self-confidence. I've always struggled with it. It's really hard for me to look myself in the mirror, to tell myself I'm beautiful. Like, I know I am in my mind, like my insides, but on the outside, I've always really struggled with it. And so my sponsor reached out to me, and she's working on herself. She says it's the next step to recovery. So through FA, Food Addicts Anonymous, and we follow the AA 12 steps. We do how it works, the 12 traditions, 12 steps, and there's meetings we do on Zoom, but there's a food guide, and so my sponsor provides me with a food guide, and I just tell her every morning what I'm going to eat, and so I have it planned out. So I knew what I was going to eat this morning, what I'm going to have for lunch, and what I'm going to have for dinner. And I don't have to be like, because I was like at that. I'd come home from work like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. Well, I'm too tired. I'm going to have
McDonald's.
Pizza. Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
and so now I have it prepped. And the other day I went shopping, and I don't know what the word is. I used Empowered to go into my fridge and to see fruits and vegetables. And that's it. Yeah. And I had some protein. Yeah. But I was like, it's only been 5 days for me, but I feel, telling Dennis, I was like, I just feel my guts feel healthier.
Yeah, it all starts with the gut health.
It does. Yeah. And I feel like, I like to say I'm a morning person, but I'm getting better at it. Yeah. So it's a life change, but I'm like, if this helped me get off drugs and alcohol, I'm going to give it a try.
I can tell you, eating well is a life skill. Cooking is a life skill that unfortunately we just dismiss so quickly, and I feel like it's probably the most important thing is to know how to properly put nutrition into your body. Shopping for food, how to do it, meal prepping, understanding basic macros, like, how much protein, how many vegetables that you sort of need. So good on you for learning that. And the
Thank
more
you.
that you learn, I promise the easier it's going to become. You'll start to
you.
really understand how that's working into your
Yeah.
body. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, let's talk about this blanket, and then we'll wrap it up. What are you crocheting here, Emma?
I am crocheting a blanket. Just like you said.
What kind of blanket is it?
It's
Touch it?
Yes, you
Is
can
you could
touch it.
someday.
My grandma used to make these.
Yeah. There's a name for this, right?
It's like an Afghan blanket,
Yeah.
I guess. But it's my recovery blanket.
The recovery blanket, okay.
Yes.
It's got a little weight to it. It's nice.
It does.
So how long you been doing this? How long is this one?
Since I started my recovery, so it's
18
been
months?
18 months,
Wow.
and it's usually a winter project.
Okay.
But I have it like right by my couch, and I actually used to bring it to work when I used to do overnights.
Okay.
It just keeps my brain sane.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
So a recovery blanket represents what? Like, so when you finish it, this is like I'm recovered, or this is just something
No,
that
I
you
think
do to.
I don't think you can't always say that you're recovered.
Sure.
Because I could be tomorrow. I could go out, right?
Right.
I think it represents all the hard work that I put into this and into my life to stay clean and sober,
Gotcha. Okay.
and the warmth it gives me.
Nice.
Nice.
That's good.
So Rick, I had 3 questions or
Yeah.
a question for her
Sure.
before we
No
went
problem.
live.
Go ahead. Let's
So,
hear it.
so the thing about when people have trauma or when they're, big partiers and stuff, we always have the memories of all the bad things that happen to us.
Yeah.
So I'd like us to reflect on what are 3 things in our life that we've done good, and getting sober can't be one of them. There's a negative attachment to it. So what is 3 things that you've done in your life that you would be proud of?
Can I say the friends that I've picked? Because I've had these friends, my group of friends, since I was in elementary school. I'm gonna start tearing up. They have stood by my side, and these are the good, healthy friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they have stood by my side, and I made my amends with them, and they knew, they're like, that was not you, Emma. So, and they still got my back.
So you had kind of falling out with them, and then you through the
those-
process you had to go back and amend.
Because I
Right,
used
that's how
to
it
take money from them too. My car's broken down. Can I have $100? It wasn't broken down.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm very happy with,
Proud of being able to maintain healthy, positive relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a big piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself for being able to pick up again. I was in and out of school for so long. I decided to go back to school. I finished my social work degree, and to be able to just pull my socks up. And I was very open with school too, telling them about my mental health, and but just kind of being like, no shame. I'm walking through those doors again, and here I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just having that resilience, I would say. And third, I don't know.
Hard to reflect on the good.
It really is. It really is.
Did a good job.
I force myself every morning to do it, and I always get stuck at 4. You know what I mean?
I like that. I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning. I do like that.
5. You gotta
5.
go
Oh,
5.
5.
3
So-
is easy. 5 is hard.
You have a different list every day, or
No,
you
a
just
lot
have
of
an
the time, like I
ongoing
said,
list?
it's repeating.
Yeah.
So like the first one is TE, like my T. The second one is coaching. That's like something that I look forward to every day. And the third one usually is the 2:15 coaching. Now I'm coaching all night. So I just write out just one small thing, and it's super simple. And it's just I have to start my brain off. I write out my 3 goals, and then I write out my 5 things that I'm looking forward to that day. Not what I did yesterday, but what I look forward to today. And I can't do anything else until I get that done. And then so it sets me in a positive mind frame. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Then I get to my to-do list.
What was that original question? The 3 things that you're
3 things
Most
that you'd be
proud
most
of.
proud of.
proud of.
And that's open. That could be from when you're 2 years old, learning to walk. You know what I mean? So I want, this is a tough question.
Yeah.
So now you got to find that third thing.
Oh,
So
I know it now.
okay.
Skydiving.
Okay, there
Ooh.
you go.
Yeah.
You did it?
I did it.
How was it?
Holy shit.
Oh, it's freaking horrible.
Yeah.
But it's that initial getting out of the plane. And
Yeah.
then once you're already in the air, I'm like, hey,
This
in
is
God's
it.
hands.
Just
Yeah, you
God's
give
hands.
it.
Describe the
That's it.
feeling of free falling.
That's one of Rick's life
That's totally
goals.
one of my things. Describe
really?
it. Sell it to me. Just tell me
Yeah.
how good
Oh
it
my
feels.
gosh.
Better than drugs?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Should
yeah.
he do it sooner than later?
Yes.
Yes.
Like this summer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna get done.
It's
don't you
July.
worry.
It's like tattoos. It gets addictive. Like
Oh,
it's,
well, look at this guy. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Have you bungee jumped?
No,
Oh,
but I
love
would
to do that.
absolutely. I've just never been in a position to do it. I swear to God, if they opened one up tomorrow somewhere, I'd go there.
you'd be
You know?
there, yeah, because it's a good start maybe than the
Yeah.
plane. I don't know.
Yeah.
Start small. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not that small.
Where did you bungee jump? Where was it?
in Oregon.
Oh yeah,
So
off that
Oh.
big bridge. Is that big tall bridge? Is that where you jumped from?
no.
No? Okay.
Oh, skydiving?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's the
Sorry,
plane.
wrong
That's
thing.
okay.
Wrong thing.
Bungee
Yeah,
jumping.
I already got into bungee jumping.
No, it's okay.
Janice, how about you?
The 3 things I'm most proud of.
Go.
Yeah, I'm getting my master's degree. I think I'm pretty proud of that. That was a lot of work. I'm very proud of the fact that I have 2 really healthy, lovely boys that seem to be making their way okay in the world.
Okay.
Sometimes I wondered if it was how that was going to go.
Yeah.
And I think my 3rd thing is I've just being really able to find some peace and contentment in my life, and now I've stopped continuing to search to find that happiness. I kind of feel like I have it. which
Smelling
is
the
a
roses.
Yeah, so I really am good now at living in the moment and just enjoying what there is.
Big
And,
time.
yeah, and that took me a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of being able to do
It's
that.
good. It's good to be around people like that. It's very soothing. It's very because we're all hustle bustle people. I don't. You are too, Rick. Get out of here. And so if you're around hustle bustle people, you always feel like you're not doing enough,
Totally.
right? And
Totally.
so when you feel like you're not doing enough, you get a little bit of this, right? Oh, I can't sit down and watch TV. This is not, this is not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you can find those people that are just relax, and
Yeah.
even just relaxing without having to have a glass of wine or smoking a
Yeah.
joint, you just chill.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
chill. Have a glass of water.
Yeah.
And chill.
Yeah. To your point about kind of the simple things, getting back to the biking, we were just cycling with
biking.
another couple the other day, and I stopped them and I said, just look around. And of course we're all like talking and moving, and I said, just look. And it was the most beautiful city skyline, and you'll never
Yes.
see it unless you're
Yeah.
on your bike. You
Yes.
can't see it from the car because this is just a path that I took them down. And I just thought to myself, this is the nicest thing I've seen in such a long time. And we sit there for about a minute, but that was the reward. Just
Yes.
looking and seeing something really nice,
Simple.
or a little river or something
Done.
like that.
And the key is that you had to stop.
But stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you just want to keep ripping it, right? You know
Yeah.
what it's like, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Cool.
that's it. That's
That's
all.
great.
All right.
Phenomenal.
That's all.
So, guys, do me a favor, like, comment, and share this video on Facebook.
Thanks
Tell
for
everybody
tuning
about
in.
it, especially if you know anybody that might be battling through any kind of addiction, or somebody who might be a parent of.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
call them that. And go to our YouTube channel at fitclubmedia.com, and everybody have yourself a great day.
Yeah.